So I have a lot of farms in my Minecraft survival world, and I want to go over what I think. Do you want to die? Ruin my intro, man. I want to go over the practicality of a lot of farms, and I want to make a tier list on my opinion on how useful a farm is for a survival world in Minecraft. Let's just get into it. Alright, so we're going to be using Tier Maker. I'll actually link this in the description of this video. I'm gonna disinclude all this. I mean, obviously we have all SAB, all that good stuff, and like all, you know, the gist of a tier list. But these like thumbnail videos or thumbnail tiers, I'm not gonna include in the tier list because half of these are just already shown in these. So yeah, let's just get into it. Bamboo, now that you can create it into wood, honestly, I'm going to put it E tier, but before that it would be actually down here. Bat farm F, I don't need to explain it, as well as beetroot and just all that. Blaze farm I actually recently built in my survival world, and I like it because it's good for potions and good for fuel, but other than that it's not too practical, but it's pretty easy to build, so B tier as well. Bone meal D, because a lot of other farms just give you bone meal in advance, and honestly actually E. Bread, it's pretty good. It's good for breeding villagers at the start, but then again it's like a mid food source, so C tier. Cactus D tier, it's such a hassle to build if you want it to be efficient, and it's such little uses. I don't see the point to it at all. Carrot is the best food source to grow to breed villagers because all it drops is carrots, no poisons, potatoes, shit like that, seeds, all that, beetroot seeds. So B tier. Cat farm, E tier, I don't really see the point to it. Cave spider farm, cave spider spawners, the slayers or whatever for XP. That is one of the easiest farms to build. It was the first farm I built in my survival world, and I think it's pretty easy to build, so B tier. Charcoal farm, I don't see the point, E tier. Charge creeper farm, if you want heads, sure, but other than that, it's probably really hard to make, so C tier. Chicken farm, good for feathers if you want to like overload chunks with booking quills, but chicken's not great of a food source and it's kind of annoying to build, so actually it's not that bad, but C tier. Coarse flour, whatever, E, same with coarse fruit, like I don't see the point to it unless you want decoration. Cobble farm, good for a lot of farms, good for building blocks, A tier. Cocoa bean, E tier. No point really, just for brown dye. Actually D tier though, because it's not too complex to make. Coral farm, why would you do that? Why would you make a farm for it? Just go for yourself if you want decoration or anything like that. E tier. Creeper farm, S tier easily. Gunpowder, no question. Beef farm or cow farm, good for leather, but it's not. I actually A tier because it's pretty easy to make, but not S tier, but close. Wolf farm, same with cat farm. I don't really see the point to it at all. Drown farm is good for tridents, but you only need one trident and it produces like more tridents than one in an hour. So unless you need loads of tridents, which I don't really see why, C tier. Egg farm, you get tons of eggs and you don't really need tons of eggs unless you're also cramming with booking quills. So C tier. Endermite farm, D tier, what's the point? Enderman farm on the other hand, easily S tier. It's like the best XP farm, and unless we're talking about ender pearls, obviously I'm putting that at F, but Enderman farm for XP, easily S tier. Fish farm pre 1.15 or 1.16 or whatever would be up here as an A, but now it's not as great, so C tier. Downfall of the fish farm needs to be studied. Flower farm, D tier, no point. Gas farms, you only need gas tiers for regeneration, nothing else. I mean, end crystals really, so I would have said D in the past if I forgot about end crystals, but honestly, no, still D because it's just so complex to make and it's just 2 uses, you don't really need it. Gold farm, A tier because it's really hard to make and there's not many uses to it. Sure, the uses are like food and life-saving items and food, but it's just really complex to make a good one. It takes like 3 hours, so A tier actually. Tropical fish farm, F tier. Why would you need tropical fish? Same with grass. Guardian farms are good for prismarine shards and like getting sea lanterns, and it's also good for XP I've seen. Bedrock, it's really good for XP, but it's not as great on Java edition, and because I'm basing this tier list on Java because I only play Java, I'm gonna drop it to C tier. Honeycomb farm, D tier, you don't really need a honeycomb. Honey bottle on the other hand, E tier, because that's really good for redstone and it's really useful and like ideal. Ice farm unless you're making ice roads, but I don't see why, E tier. Squid farm I also hate because you don't need squid, only for black dye, literally nothing else. Booking quids maybe, but like I don't see the point to it because they're so complex to make, take ages to make, and all you get is for something that is so lousy, unless you want entity cramming, but E tier. Iron farm S tier because you can easily filter out the poppies and you can make it easily expandable to make hundreds of thousands of iron per hour. So S tier because iron's so useful in Minecraft for almost every farm and every recipe. Hurricane farm is going to be close to creepers, but because you don't need as much as it, E tier. Kelp farm would be really good on Bedrock, but as I said, Java, C tier. Leaf farm F tier, actually E tier. Melon farm really good for emeralds and it's better than pumpkin, so I'm gonna put this at B tier because it's good for emeralds, and pumpkin at D tier because melon is guaranteed for farmer villagers to be traded with. Pumpkin, no. So if you have like a good, actually I'll move it to C because it's not as fast, but it is better than pumpkin. This is for skeleton farm and this is also skeleton. It's good, but I think D tier because you can easily just get it past it once you make cave spider, which I think is better, and there's much better XP farms in my opinion. It's like Enderman farm. But this is for raid farm, S tier, A tier now actually, because this is off 1.21 and you need ominous bottles, and I'll actually put this with it because this is better now. Like before this would be like a D. You don't need it unless you need crossbows or XP. But A tier now because you need the ominous bottles and it's very easy to make. And this cannot happen without this like point. Like nothing more to say. If this is a mule farm, why would you need a mule farm unless you're like breeding and you're like a nomad? Put E tier. Mushroom farm, D tier. This farm C tier, but once you get all the music system, you don't really need it. Nether ward, C tier as well because you can just grow it manually, to be honest. Obsidian, I like obsidian farms because they're used in a lot of farms, but it gives way too much obsidian in my opinion because some farms only need like 2 stacks at most, and this thing makes like 8 stacks in like 15 minutes. So it's just like it's very like excessive in my opinion. So C tier. Again, I'm skipping these. Oh, I forgot mushroom farm. Mushroom farm, unless you want mushroom soup though, then that's not useful. Put it in D tier. Pig farm, B tier. Phantom farm, I hate phantoms, put them in F tier. Potato is C tier. Rabbit farm, E tier, unless you need like the what's it called, like the rabbit hide to make leather, but like just make a cow farm. Saplings, I'll put that in A tier or B tier because it's really important. I'll put all this. I'll put saplings and trees, and I'll count wood with that because that's really important. Altogether, wood farms are super important, but I don't think they're A or S. I think they're B, but they are really important because they same with bamboo. That's also a wood source now. Skewed farm, you only need 5 for a turtle helmet, and they're also pretty complex, and you can just breed turtles manually. So C tier, yeah. Wheat farm, I'd probably put that with wheat, but wheat isn't great, so E tier because again it's not great for breeding and it's just impractical in my opinion. Sheep farm is really good. I'll actually put it in A tier because wool is pretty important and it's really easy to make. So yeah, A tier. Silverfish farm, I mean, like why would you need that? And you already have like the spawner unless you broke it. I didn't break it. You guys probably broke it though. Slime farm we'll put in A because especially with the new ones, they're super easy to make and they make like 200,000 slime balls per hour, like the new ones with the infested and stuff like that. So I think, yeah, A tier, but old ones used to be so hard to make, that would probably be like C tier. But again, slime's also really important for redstone, and now that they're easier than ever and more efficient than ever, A tier. Snow farm, E tier, actually F tier, you don't really need snow at all. Spider farms I would put with cave spiders, but finding a spider spawner is a lot harder, so I'll put it at C tier. Only 1 down from cave spiders, but I think finding a dungeon is harder than finding a mine shaft, cave spider spawner, and cave spider spawners aren't as hard to make in my opinion. Stone farm I would put with cobblestone because also building block. Stray farms, E. Why would you need stray farms unless you want like slowness arrows for PvP? But honestly, actually I'll move it to D. Why not? Sweetberry farm, F because awful food source. Like why would you make that? And just manually farm them if you really need them. Manually farm them, but like why would you need them unless you need decoration? Flower farms. Okay, flower farms are good for dye, but then after that they're kind of weird. I already have it in D tier, but yeah, D tier is fair for me. And like, yeah, I'm keeping it in D tier. Alright, I like turtle egg farms because they're useful, but I'll put them with scutes as well. Actually, I'll move them to B tier. Villager farm, villager breeder, whatever, S tier because villagers are needed in almost every single farm nowadays because villagers are just so important in this game. Wandering trading farm on the other hand, just a budget villager, E tier. Also imagine it'd be really hard to make. Witch farm, They are now outclassed by raid farms, but before that, it was the best way to get sticks and stuff like that. Glowstone is pretty good, but it's outclassed majorly by it now. So E tier, honestly, because it's hard to make too. Vine farm, F. Why would you need vines? Excessive way. Bottle farm, put it with Netherwort C, because if you're a big brewing guy, which I do a lot of, unless especially for the manual or like efficient slime farms, you need these. So yeah, C tier. Wither Rose farm is really useful for making wither skeleton farms. However, you don't need it for anything else, maybe like the obsidian farm. But D tier. And it's also hard to make wither rose farms because it's also dangerous. Wither skeleton farms, on the other hand, that's a A because it's really practical for beacons. Practical. Wolf farm I'm putting with sheep because it's the same thing. Where are you? Yep. XB, I mean, I'm actually just gonna skip that because it's just such a broad term. I already have all these. And then zombie farm, I don't really need rotten flesh. You can just get it from gold farms. D tier, honestly. That wraps up my farm tier list on this world and what I think is the most practical. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I think it was a fun video, but I think it was very important for me to show you the practicality of every farm. So take it with a grain of salt. If you don't like my opinion, again, an opinion is a opinion. That is should be stated a million times over by so many people. But an opinion is an opinion. So if you don't like it, notice my old iron farm I tried to make that didn't work. But yeah, an opinion is an opinion. If you don't like it, attack me in the comments all you want. I'll listen to your opinion and I'll try to persuade you. Maybe not persuade you, but I'll respect your opinion respectfully. So yeah, that's about it. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys next time.